Good news for CW fans with Netflix accounts. Netflix and the CW network reached a new multi-year agreement that makes Netflix the exclusive service for streaming past seasons of the CW's numerous shows. In addition, starting with the 2016-17 season, Netflix subscribers will be able to stream the full season of CW's various programs 8 days after their season finales. The availability of full television seasons on Netflix has generally coincided with the DVD releases, however this new deal will bump up the release date. While it's still a far cry from a weekly episode release during a show's broadcast run, the faster turnaround time for full seasons will be a welcome change for binge watchers. In gaming news, it was a week for speedruns as Games Done Quick performed their biannual charity fundraiser. Starting last Sunday morning, dozens of the fastest gamers around gathered for a marathon of speedruns that lasted until midnight on Saturday evening. From old school games to modern classics, 176 games were played and beaten to raise funds for Doctors Without Borders. Not only did the gamers challenge themselves to regular speedruns, but sometimes they even challenged each other with races, competing to see who could get through the game the fastest. With more than 20,000 donors throughout the week, Summer Games Done Quick raised more than $1 million for their cause. Of course, if you weren't watching games this week, you were probably outside playing Pokemon Go, or at least wishing the servers would come back online. The much-anticipated app from Nintendo and Niantic released this week and has been an unprecedented success, skyrocketing to the top of the iPhone sales charts and bumping up Nintendo's stock price by 10%. But while Nintendo's stock goes up, Niantic's servers are going down. The virtual flood of people trying to access the game has resulted in servers being overwhelmed, frequently shutting trainers out of the game while they're on their journey to catch them all. The issue has become so severe that Niantic is delaying the official international release of the game until things become more stable, leaving European trainers out of the game unless they risk downloading it elsewhere. But the big question is, how does Pokemon Go live up to expectations? While obviously the app was never going to actually bring Pokemon into the real world, for 10 months gamers have wondered how close to reality the final product would get to the initial commercial for the game. So far, exploring the world and catching Pokemon is definitely the most appealing part and does live up to expectations. Tracking down rare Pokemon is a thrill, even if they are only there in the augmented reality of your phone. Trading, however, is nowhere to be seen, nor is battling the Pokemon you find out in the world, which is one of the game's major annoyances. You can't weaken wild Pokemon through battle, nor does fighting make your own Pokemon stronger, which means the app is missing one of the most fundamentally important aspects of the franchise. And that's not the only thing missing. While you can technically fight the Pokemon of real-world opponents at gyms, they are always AI controlled. There's no system in place to challenge other players directly. In fact, other than the catching aspect, the only thing in the trailer that did make it to the final product is the concept of multiple trainers dogpiling a single enemy. While local event challenges to capture legendary Pokemon haven't popped up yet, a team of trainers can simultaneously challenge a gym to wear down their opponents with sheer numbers. It's hard to say if any of these features will roll out in the future, but in the meantime I've gone on more walks and explored more of my town than I have in years, so it must be doing something right. Moving on to notable releases, there's the Ghostbusters reboot movie. Ignoring the abysmal trailer with unfunny jokes, terrible CGI, and none of the subtlety that made the original a masterpiece, one might have hoped that director Paul Feig would have at least attempted to make a movie that didn't hinge on gender politics.
Okay, so I don't know if it was a race thing or a lady thing, but I'm mad as hell.
Instead, it seems he made a movie where they literally shoot the Ghostbusters icon in the dick. I can't really think of a better scene to summarize this film.
You do see how this might make us look bad.
Listen, whether this movie is good or not, and all signs are pointing to not, it really doesn't even matter anymore because this isn't even a movie anymore. It's a weapon in the culture wars, and the only way to win is to not play. So, moving on to television, the second season of USA's Mr. Robot starts on July 13th, continuing the adventures of the vigilante hacker struggling to find the balance between order and anarchy. And in video games this week, hitting the PC is Bot Vice, a neat-looking shooter that combines dodge rolls and cover mechanics with 16-bit aesthetics. According to the description, it's a game for people who like a challenge, so expect to die a lot. Speaking of which, there's also Necropolis, a diabolical dungeon delve, a stylized roguelike dungeon crawler with multiplayer options, which sounds like a good time if you can find some friends that you trust not to get you killed. If you're more into solo play, there's Song of the Deep. From the creators of Ratchet & Clank, this game is a Metroidvania-style action-adventure title that appears to take place completely underwater. Moving on, there's this quarter's anime-stylized 2D fighter with a silly name. This time around we have Under Night in Birth, X-Late. So there's that. Now if you want a game where the title tells you exactly what it is, you have Gravity Cat, which is about a gravity-defying cat. Is that redundant? Anyway, this puzzle platformer looks pretty typical, but come on, Gravity Cat. Speaking of simplistic names, there's Crush Your Enemies, and I'm not sure how good this RTS game looks, but if it's half as entertaining as its trailer, it's probably a good time.
Enjoy our advanced beard physics engine. Everything looks better with a beard. How about a barbarian? A plant? A princess? Okay, maybe not everything.
And if that's a little too hardcore for you, there's Ducky Dash, and no joke, I'm kinda tempted to actually get this. It's a low-stress, casual rubber duck racing game. It kinda looks really relaxing. And finally, it must be Tower Defense Month because we have a trio of TD games coming out. In third place of interest, we have Rabbit Island, where you defend your base against the single worst looking rabbits ever animated. Domain Defense looks a little better, but not by much. Multiplayer seems to be the focus of this otherwise uninspired looking tower defense game. And finally, Infinium Strike brings a new take on the genre, putting towers on the hull of a spaceship and flying it into battle zones. Finishing things off with this week's CGBros video, we have Illegal Move by Sana Srinivasan and Kyle Lopez, the tragic tale of two chess pieces on the wrong side of the board.
You can move in any direction you want, Liz, but you can't move away from who you truly are.
And finally, this week's awesome video is the amazing modification to the trailer for Batman the Killing Joke by Plan Making Mammals, which recolors the trailer to match the style of the original graphic novel. Now DC just needs to give this guy a truckload of money to do it for the entire film. And that's everything for this week, so which Pokemon Go team are you on? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe, pass this video around to your friends, and have a great week!